A month before the wedding. A casual glance at my fiancé Ethan's tablet shattered my world. The messages glowed innocuously on the screen. A beacon of betrayal. What devious fun are we getting into tonight? I've got so many delicious surprises waiting for you. Are you worried my cousin will find out? Don't be silly, Olivia's so blissfully clueless. A simple excuse, a little white lie, and she'll swallow it whole. Besides, she's so utterly devoted to you. Even if she stumbled upon our little secret, she'd never have the heart to leave you. She'd probably forgive you in a heartbeat. Hurry over, darling. I promise you a night you won't soon forget. My blood ran cold. The sender was Chloe, my younger cousin, who'd arrived from our hometown just a month ago, supposedly to find her footing and a new job in the city. And Ethan, my Ethan, after what felt like an eternity but was probably only 5 agonizing minutes, had replied, Olivia can't know. Under no circumstances can this affect our wedding. The floor seemed to drop away beneath me. The love I'd cherished, the future I'd meticulously planned, was a sham my Junshin trampled underfoot by the 2 people I should have been able to trust. A bitter smile touched my lips. If they were so desperately, secretly entangled, then the wedding, just a month away, certainly couldn't disappoint the true stars of the show. It was well past midnight when my flight landed, the journey back from my hometown a blur of simmering anger and icy resolve. Stepping out of the airport, the biting winter wind whipped around me, and I instinctively pulled my padded coat tighter. Across the pickup lane I saw them, Ethan and Chloe. Olivia, over here. Chloe waved, a bright, manufactured smile plastered on her face. She rushed towards me, enveloping me in a hug that felt suffocatingly false. Her voice dripped with feigned concern. How's Aunt Sarah doing? Is her health better? Much better, thank you, I replied, my voice carefully neutral. I took in Chloe's appearance. A slinky black low-cut dress, barely concealed by a tailored black coat that clung to her figure, and thigh-high black leather boots. Her chestnut curls cascaded artfully over her shoulders. A stark contrast to my own practical long-down jacket, blue jeans, and sturdy Martin boots. Chloe, I began, my tone deceptively light. Your makeup is still so flawless this late. Were you out somewhere special? Chloe shot a quick, almost imperceptible glance at Ethan before linking her arm through mine, her touch possessive. Oh, just a bit of fun with some new friends clubbing, she chirped, her voice conspiratorial. You won't tell Mom. And Dad, will you, Olivia? Then, turning to Ethan, her voice dripped with a cloying sweetness that made my stomach churn. Ethan, darling, hurry and get Olivia's suitcase. It's absolutely freezing out here. Let's get to the car. Her tone wasn't just familiar. It was proprietorial, as if this intimacy was a long-standing habit, not a recent development. Ethan, who hadn't even uttered a word of greeting to me since I'd arrived, seemed out of sorts, his usual attentiveness absent. It was Chloe's command, however, that finally drew a reaction from him. His brow furrowed, a hint of annoyance lacing his voice. I told you it was cold. You insisted on being a frozen beauty. Now you're feeling it, aren't you? Chloe stuck her tongue out at him playfully. All right, you're such a nag. She then leaned against my shoulder, a picture of innocent affection. Olivia, how do you put up with him? Their easy banter, their casual intimacy, made me feel like the intruder, the unwelcome third wheel in their cozy dynamic. I subtly disengaged my arm from Chloe's grasp. When we reached the car, Chloe, with a practiced ease, slid into the front passenger seat before I could even react. Ethan looked momentarily displeased, his hand reaching for the passenger door handle as if to pull her out, but I'd already opened the back door and settled in. Inside the car, Chloe rummaged through the glove compartment and produced 2 heat packs, handing one to me with a saccharine smile. Here, Olivia, you must be cold. Want one? How come there are heat packs in the car? I asked, my voice direct, cutting through her pretense. A flicker of panic crossed Chloe's face, a micro-expression she couldn't quite conceal. But Ethan quickly interjected, his voice a little too loud, a little too jovial. Olivia, why? Didn't you tell me you were coming back so soon? If Aunt Sarah hadn't called, I wouldn't have known. Flying in at this hour and not letting me know. You had me worried, you know. I was afraid you'd be busy, I said, my voice flat. Didn't want to disturb you. Weren't you supposed to stay and look after Aunt Sarah for another week? Why the early return? He pressed, a hint of something unreadable in his eyes. I forced a smile. Mom's much better, so I came back to finalize the wedding preparations. It was a lie. Even my mother only knew I was back for the wedding. The truth was I'd received a series of photos from my best friend Jessica that had sent me scrambling for the first flight back. 5. Damning images, each a fresh stab to my heart. Ethan and Chloe hand in hand embracing, their bodies pressed close in public spaces. Jessica's frantic call had followed. Olivia, I told you. I had a bad feeling about that cousin of yours from the start. What are you going to do? The wedding is just around the corner, and now this mess. One photo in particular burned itself into my memory. Chloe in a crowded mall, her arms wrapped around Ethan's neck, her body flush against his, while Ethan's hand rested possessively on her backside. My heart seized, a physical pain that sent shivers of cold through my entire body. I had never, not even in my wildest nightmares, imagined Ethan capable of such a betrayal. His own father had an affair, a secret that had leached the joy from his mother's life, leaving her to weep in silence for years. Ethan had always professed to despise infidelity, to loathe the very idea of a homewrecker. Ethan and I were high school classmates. In our senior year, a tender, unspoken affection had taken root in my heart. I'd secretly chosen the same university as him, studying relentlessly to ensure I got in. On the day of the opening ceremony, he was on stage as the freshman representative. As he concluded his speech, his eyes found mine in the crowd, and he'd confessed his feelings right there in front of everyone. The world had dissolved into a haze of pink, romantic bubbles. The boy I adored me back. We spent 4 blissful years together in college. After graduation, with his family's backing, he started his own business. Pursued my passion, becoming a journalist, a job that often had me running from one story to another, sometimes requiring me to be away on assignment for a week, even half a month. He'd never once complained about the time we spent apart. His friends often teased him, calling him a wife-doting madman, utterly besotted. He was a cool, aloof demigod to others, but his gaze, full of fiery devotion, was reserved only for me. Chloe had arrived a month ago. Ethan's business was thriving, our wedding date was set, and both families had met and given their blessings. It was during a family dinner that my uncle had casually remarked, "Since Ethan is so successful, his friends must be high caliber too. My Chloe here doesn't have a boyfriend, and her job isn't great. Why don't you let her work at your company in a couple of days, Ethan? You could even help her find a suitable match." At the time I dismissed it as a joke, thinking nothing of it. I never imagined Chloe would actually show up at my doorstep, luggage in tow. Chloe and I had always been relatively close growing up. As an only child, I'd always treated her like the sister I never had. So when she arrived, I couldn't bring myself to turn her away. However, I was hesitant about her working at Ethan's company. Perhaps I'd watched too many melodramatic TV shows, but a seed of unease had been planted. On her very first day with us, she brazenly quizzed us about our relationship. Upon learning that we were each other's first love, a mutual crush that blossomed into a committed relationship, she'd pouted. "No way. I can believe Olivia hasn't dated much. No offense, cuz. But Ethan, you're so handsome. It's a real shame you haven't played the field more." Ethan had slammed his chopsticks down, his face darkening instantly. "What's wrong with Olivia? Olivia is the best in my eyes. I don't need to be promiscuous. Meeting the right person is all that matters." After that incident, Ethan had quietly suggested to me several times that Chloe should move out. "This is our marital home, Olivia," he'd said, his discomfort evident. I agreed. Her constant presence was awkward, especially since Ethan had taken to staying at his office most nights to avoid the discomfort. I tried to hint, subtly and not so subtly, that she should find her own place. Each time she'd burst into tears. "Olivia, do you think I'm here to freeload? I have no money, no job prospects yet. How can I afford to live on my own?" "I can help you rent a place," I'd offered, trying to be reasonable. "Fine. I'll move out tomorrow then. Are you satisfied now?" she'd shrieked, storming out of the apartment. A wave of guilt washed over me. Had I been too harsh? I called Ethan, who reassured me. "She's an adult, Olivia. She'll be fine." But later that night the phone rang. It wasn't Chloe in trouble. It was my mother. She'd had a heart attack. Ethan and I flew back to our hometown immediately. By the time we arrived, Mom had already undergone successful surgery. We stayed by her side for 2 days, but an urgent matter at Ethan's company forced him to return early. I remained at the hospital, caring for my mother and cooking for my father. It was during those days in my hometown that I learned the full story. My mother's sudden heart attack was a direct consequence of my uncle's actions. More accurately, it was because Chloe, after her dramatic exit from our apartment, had run straight to her parents, painting herself as the victim. My uncle and his family had then stormed over to my parents' house to demand an explanation, resulting in a heated argument that had triggered my mother's collapse. Ethan called, informing me that Chloe was back in our apartment. I decided to deal with her upon my return. During this period, Ethan called me daily. Besides inquiring about Mom's recovery and telling me he missed me, his conversations increasingly revolved around Chloe, specifically complaining about her. "Olivia, your cousin is becoming unbearable," he'd lament. "Remember I told you about her partying late with a bunch of guys and girls? I had to drag her home. Now she's bringing them back to our place. She's treating it like her own personal frat house. I can't stand it for another second." I tried to soothe him, asking him to be patient, promising to resolve the situation when I returned. But it seemed Chloe manufactured a new drama every day. Our calls, once filled with the tender intimacy of lovers, became dominated by the Chloe show. Chloe went looking for a job and nearly got tricked into a pyramid scheme. Thankfully, she called Ethan just in time for him to rescue her. After a long day at work, he'd be summoned home by Chloe to cook dinner for her. Chloe got into a shouting match with the downstairs neighbors, and Ethan had to rush back from work to mediate. Chloe had period pains and insisted he go to the supermarket to buy her sanitary pads and then make her brown sugar water. Chloe, in a supposed gesture of gratitude for his care, attempted to cook him a meal, nearly setting the apartment on fire with her clumsiness. Ethan naturally had to clean up the mess and cook dinner himself. Listening to his litany of complaints, I noticed a subtle shift. He was still ostensibly too tall, complaining, but the earlier edge of genuine annoyance in his voice had softened, replaced by something that sounded disturbingly like weary, exasperated fondness. He hadn't asked when I was coming back for a long time. A creeping unease began to settle in my heart. Regardless, my mother needed me. My father wasn't in good health either and couldn't manage her care alone. Then, about 2 weeks before my eventual return, another incident occurred. It was snowing heavily in our hometown, the air bitingly cold. I just drifted off to sleep on the uncomfortable hospital cot when my phone shrilled, jolting me awake. It was past 1 in the morning. Ethan. He never called at this hour unless it was an emergency. His voice was urgent, a strange mix of anger and anxiety. He told me Chloe was dating someone, a rich heir named Julian Thorne from the prominent Thorne family. Julian seemed like a decent guy, he'd said, but the Thorne family was notoriously complex, a viper's nest not suited for a naive girl like Chloe. She'd get eaten alive. He tried to stop her from seeing Julian, and Chloe, in a fit of pique, had run away from home. He didn't know if she'd gone to Julian's. A young girl, going to a man's house this late at night. "It's like a lamb to the slaughter," he'd exclaimed, his voice tight with worry. Listening to him, I felt he was being overly dramatic. Besides, Chloe dating someone was frankly a relief. "She's an adult, Ethan. She can make her own judgments." To my shock, he snapped, "Olivia Thorne, how can you say that? Chloe is your cousin, your sister." Before I could respond, he cut me off. "Forget it. I'm not talking to you about this. I'm going out to find her. If something happens to her in the middle of the night, I'll regret it for the rest of my life." The dial tone buzzed in my ear. His words echoed in my mind. When had he become so fiercely protective of Chloe? Since when did her dating life require his approval? I didn't sleep a wink that night. I paced the hospital corridor, phone pressed to my ear, dialing their numbers repeatedly. Both went unanswered. What were they doing? An inexplicable panic clawed at me. I don't know how I got through that night. It wasn't until nearly noon the next day that Ethan finally answered. His voice was hoarse. His first words were a challenge. "Why did you call so many times?" I hesitated, then asked, "Why didn't you answer? Were you together last night?" "What exactly are you trying to ask, Olivia?" he retorted, his voice sharp. "What do you think could possibly be going on between me and Chloe?" His aggressive deflection left me speechless. It was the first time in all our years together that he'd spoken to me with such coldness. He must have sensed his harshness, because his tone softened slightly. Olivia, don't let your imagination run wild. I found her at a bar last night. She was drunk. Not long after we got home, she developed a fever. I was looking after her all night. My phone must have accidentally been switched to silent. I'm sorry I missed your calls. I have to go to the office now. I'll call you later. I wanted to ask, even if his phone was on silent, what about Chloe's? Were both their phones coincidentally silenced? But the words wouldn't come. I hung up, a cold dread settling in my stomach. I was afraid to voice my suspicions, afraid that speaking them aloud would make them real. Back at the hospital, Mom was recovering well. My aunt and uncle arrived to help, so she would be discharged in a few days. I booked a flight for that very night, timing my arrival for the early hours of the morning. Back in our apartment, Chloe, with an air of practiced ownership, used her fingerprint to unlock the door. I said nothing, just looked pointedly at Ethan. He offered a weak explanation. Chloe's a bit scatterbrained, always forgetting her keys. So, I registered her fingerprint. Ethan, come look at this. Does this milk taste off to you? Chloe's voice called from the kitchen. Ethan dropped my suitcase and hurried over, with me trailing behind him. Chloe held a glass of milk, took a sip and frowned. It tastes wrong. You try it. With a casual intimacy that twisted my insides, she held the glass to his lips. Ethan, just as naturally, leaned in and sipped from the glass she held. Watching them, they looked like any other couple in the throes of a passionate affair. My heart gave a painful lurch. It's just a glass of milk, I said, my voice cool. If it tastes off, just pour it out. As if suddenly remembering my presence, Chloe's eyes widened in feigned surprise. Oh, Olivia, I'm so sorry. I forgot you were here. I'm just so used to, well, you know. She pouted, attempting a cute, playful look, and Huang shook my arm. You're not angry, are you, sis? I stared at them, my voice laced with pointed innocence. So, this is how you behave when I'm not home? Ethan's face hardened. Olivia just got back, she's exhausted. Stop bothering her, Chloe. You're clumsy with everything and always need someone to clean up your messes. Chloe pulled a face at him and flounced off to her room. The living room fell silent, leaving just Ethan and me. He took my hand, his voice laced with forced warmth. Olivia, you're finally back. This girl has been driving me crazy. Then I'll talk to her tomorrow about moving out, I said, testing him. Oh, there's no need to rush, he said quickly, a little too quickly. She's a young girl, alone in a new city. If something happened to her, how would you explain it to your aunt and uncle? But don't you dislike her? Her being here is an inconvenience for us, isn't it? I pressed. Ethan's patience visibly thinned. Olivia, why are you being so selfish all of a sudden? She's your cousin. Can't you be a little more considerate of her? I stared at him, a dawning horror chilling me to the bone. He still spoke to Chloe with that same dismissive tone, yet his underlying protectiveness was undeniable. He'd now snapped at me twice, all for Chloe. All right then, I conceded, avoiding further argument. Whatever you say. Seeing me relent, Ethan smiled, pressing kisses to my hand, murmuring words of longing. I pulled my hand away. You should go home, Ethan. It's late and you have work tomorrow. It's not convenient for you to stay here. After he left, I lay awake all night, my mind racing. The next morning, Chloe announced that her boyfriend was taking her out, and she wasn't sure when she'd be back. I smiled sweetly. Chloe, my wedding is very soon. You can be my bridesmaid and your boyfriend can be a groomsman. It'll be a great chance for the family to meet him. Chloe agreed without a moment's hesitation. So the boyfriend story was true. Then what was going on between her and Ethan? With the apartment to myself, I began to clean. But my real mission was to install miniature cameras in the study, the living room, and, with a heavy heart, my own bedroom. Jessica's photos were damning enough, but beyond those, countless small signs pointed to an undeniable, sickening intimacy between Ethan and Chloe. My logical mind battled with my heart, which desperately wanted to believe Ethan wouldn't betray me. We had been together for 10 years, weathering storms side by side. Our lives were so intertwined. Separating felt like being flayed alive. The pain was unbearable. I called Ethan, telling him I had an urgent assignment from the TV station and would be out of town for 3 days, leaving immediately. Before I left, I discreetly took his tablet. Last night, I'd noticed his messaging app was still logged in. Sure enough, that afternoon as I sat in my car, parked in the next neighborhood over, a notification popped up on the tablet. It was Chloe messaging Ethan. "What devious fun are we getting into tonight? I've got so many delicious surprises waiting for you. Are you worried my cousin will find out? Don't be silly, Olivia's so blissfully clueless. A simple excuse, a little white lie, and she'll swallow it whole. Besides, she's so utterly devoted to you. Even if she stumbled upon our little secret, she'd never have the heart to leave you. She'd probably forgive you in a heartbeat. Are you sure you want to ignore me? Because my boyfriend is calling. Hurry over, darling. I'm waiting for you at home. I promise you a night you won't soon forget." She sent message after message, a relentless barrage. Ethan didn't reply immediately. Then, 5 minutes later, a new message from Ethan appeared on the screen in my hands. "You promised me you wouldn't let him touch you. Olivia can't know. Under no circumstances can this affect our wedding day. Wait for me." Reading their exchange, my heart felt like it was being shredded by 1,000 tiny knives. Ethan. How could he do this to me? I wasn't on an assignment, of course. I was in my car, tablet in one hand, phone in the other, watching the live feed from the cameras. I raised a trembling hand to cover my eyes, biting down hard on my lip to stifle a sob, forcing myself to remain calm. 10 years of love, of shared dreams, shattered in an instant. How could I not ache? How could I not hate? Half an hour later, Ethan's figure appeared on my phone screen. Chloe, dressed in a black lace see-through teddy, was all over him on the sofa. A wave of nausea churned in my stomach. I scrambled out of the car, stumbling to the roadside, and dry-heaved, my body racked with spasms. The image of my cousin and my fiancé in our home, the home I'd lovingly decorated for our future, engaging in such intimate acts. It was repulsive. My eyes burned with unshed tears. I sat paralyzed on the curb for a long while before slowly, mechanically starting the car. Arriving at our apartment building, I parked, closed my eyes, and took a deep, steadying breath. When I opened them, my gaze was like ice. Fingerprint unlocked, I pushed open the door. I walked step by deliberate step towards the bedroom. Just as I reached for the handle, the door was pulled open from the inside. Ethan, one hand fumbling with his tie, his eyes wide with shock when he saw me, hastily masked his panic. "Olivia, you're back? Weren't you on assignment?" I pushed my small suitcase past him, walking directly into the room. The trip was cancelled last minute. My eyes scanned the rumpled, creased bedsheets, the faint, cloying scent of a woman's perfume hanging in the air. My gaze swept the room, finally settling on the wardrobe. "What are you doing home at this time?" I asked, my voice devoid of emotion. Ethan turned, snaking an arm around my waist, forcing a smile. "Just came back to grab a tie. There's a company dinner tonight. You should come with me. We can grab some lunch first, then I'll take you shopping for a new dress." A humorless smile touched my lips. I pushed him away. "No, I'm tired. I think I'll just stay home and sleep." I walked towards the wardrobe, and under Ethan's horrified gaze, I pulled open one of the doors. Not Chloe's hiding spot, of course. I knew exactly where she was. Opening the adjacent door would only heighten her terror, ratchet up the tension. They liked thrills, didn't they? Well, I was about to give them the thrill of a lifetime. The wedding countdown, 25 days. "Don't disappoint me, you two. Olivia, even if you're tired, you need to eat," Ethan insisted, grabbing my hand, trying to pull me towards the door. "I haven't eaten either. Come on, let's go out. Then you can come back and rest." I twisted my hand free and pushed him out of the bedroom. "You go ahead. I ate at the office. I'm going to sleep. You can leave now." I shut the door, a grim satisfaction blooming in my chest as I pictured Chloe cowering in the wardrobe. I took fresh sheets from the other side of the closet and changed the bedding, trying to ignore the revulsion that churned within me. Lying down, exhaustion momentarily claimed me, and I drifted into a fitful sleep, plagued by nightmares. In my dream, it was the three of us again. Ethan chose Chloe. He pushed me into the icy Black Sea, the suffocating terror of the water closing over me. The feeling of drowning jolted me awake with a gasp. My eyes met Chloe's as she stealthily climbed out of the wardrobe. Compared to her disheveled panic, I was the picture of calm. "Chloe," I said, my voice serene, "what are you doing in there?" "Olivia, I was just going to borrow a dress from your closet," she stammered, her face pale. "I didn't know you were sleeping. I'm so sorry I woke you." She turned and fled the room. The game of cat and mouse had just begun. If her nerves were this frayed already, she wouldn't last long. Perhaps because I resumed my normal routine going to work. Coming home every day, Ethan and Chloe became more cautious. The cameras picked up no more illicit encounters within the apartment. They must have taken their trysts elsewhere. Jessica called me out for coffee, her words a torrent of curses aimed at the scumbag and the bitch, though she tried to temper her outrage for my sake. "It's okay, Jess," I said, a wry smile on my face. "Let it out. Don't mind me." I slid my phone across the table, playing the videos I'd saved. Jessica's eyes widened, and a string of truly impressive expletives erupted from her. She gulped down half her coffee, her throat dry. "Olivia, what are you going to do? The wedding is less than a month away. Are you seriously going through with it?" I sipped my coffee, saying nothing. This wedding was a dream I'd nurtured for 10 years, planned meticulously for 6 months. All the preparations were nearly complete, just waiting for the day Ethan and I would walk down the aisle. To call it off now. I wasn't willing to let them off that easily. That afternoon, the TV station called me back for an exclusive interview with Julian Thorne, the young CEO of Thorne Industries, Chloe's current boyfriend. Julian was every inch the gentleman, his manners impeccable, his speech and gestures exuding the refined air of a man born to wealth and privilege. Towards the end of the interview, Chloe walked in. Her first reaction upon seeing me wasn't surprise, but a sharp, wary alarm. Her entire style had changed. No wonder she looked vaguely familiar. She was dressed almost exactly like me, in my usual understated professional attire. So Julian wasn't a fan of her previous rebellious, scantily clad look. However, their interaction clearly showed Julian cared for her. He even made a point of including her in the interview, a clear signal he intended to make their relationship public. After the interview concluded, I approached them, my smile wide and gracious. "Mr. Thorne, I hear you're dating my cousin. Chloe has always been a sweet, innocent girl. You must take good care of her." Chloe, clearly taken aback by my supportive words, rushed to my side, linking her arm through mine. "Olivia, Julian is wonderful to me." Julian smiled indulgently, ruffling Chloe's hair. "Don't worry, Miss Hayes," assuming Olivia's surname is Hayes. "My family adores Chloe, and I will cherish and love her." Watching Chloe's blissful expression, a wave of cold fury washed over me. "I mentioned to Chloe before," I continued smoothly, "my wedding is just a few days away. I'd love for you and Chloe to be our groomsman and bridesmaid." Julian agreed without hesitation. My objective was achieved. The day before the wedding arrived with a flurry of activity. My parents and relatives traveled from our hometown, settling into the hotel. Both families were gathered for a pre-wedding dinner when Ethan's phone began to buzz. Seeing the relaxed, almost smug expression on his face as he typed, I knew it was Chloe. A few minutes later, Ethan excused himself, claiming an urgent issue at the office. Before leaving, he pulled me into a tight embrace, whispering tenderly in my ear, "Olivia, tomorrow is our wedding. I'm so happy. We've waited 10 years for this day. Tomorrow I finally get to make you my wife. Olivia, I love you. I love you so, so much." I fought back a wave of nausea, a cold sneer playing on my lips. Were those words meant to reassure me or himself? "Can't you stay?" I asked, my voice deceptively pleading. "Everyone's here. It doesn't look good for you to leave now." "If it wasn't an emergency, I wouldn't dream of leaving. Be good, my love. You'll see me tomorrow." He pressed a kiss to my forehead and left without a backward glance. I pulled out a tissue and scrubbed at my forehead, the spot where his lips had touched feeling contaminated. Watching his retreating back, the chill in my heart intensified. These past 20-odd days, witnessing Ethan's betrayal, watching them enact their charade in front of me, treating me like a fool. Chloe would flirt openly with Ethan, then turn to me with wide-eyed innocence and ask if I minded. Every time I dared to speak sternly to Chloe, Ethan would reprimand me. Several times during meals, I'd gone to the kitchen to fetch a dish, only to return and catch glimpses of their hands inappropriately busy under the table. I'd gone from crying myself to sleep every night, my heart feeling like it would shatter with each fresh wave of pain, to a state of numb detachment. Now all I felt for Ethan was a profound disgust. His tablet had remained in my car. He was likely too preoccupied with his business and his clandestine affair with Chloe, carefully concealing it from me, to even remember it. As expected, A message from Chloe popped up on the tablet. Our last night of freedom. Let's celebrate wildly. I'm waiting for you. A humorless smirk twisted my lips. I picked up my phone and called Ethan. I told him I'd be staying at the hotel with my parents tonight, and the makeup artist would come directly to the hotel in the morning. Any last-minute arrangements for the new house, I said, Chloe could handle. Ethan naturally agreed readily. Their chat history revealed that their favorite trysting spot was, sickeningly, our marital home. Finally, the wedding day dawned. It was all about to end. The ceremony began promptly at 11:18 a.m. The officiant stood on the dais recounting the story of how Ethan and I met, fell in love, our journey to this day. This segment was something Ethan and I had planned together with the officiant. He'd wanted everyone to know how much he loved me, that marrying me was the greatest achievement of his life. Listening to those meticulously curated memories of our 10 years together now, it all felt like a grotesque joke. Ethan and I stood facing each other. He gripped my hands tightly, his eyes suspiciously bright, a wide smile stretched across his face. The officiant read the vows. Ethan, do you take Olivia to be your lawfully wedded wife? Ethan took the microphone, his eyes glistening with unshed tears as he gazed at me. I do, he declared, his voice thick with emotion. 2 months ago, during his proposal, he'd made similar promises. I, Ethan, will never betray Olivia Hayes. I will never cause her sorrow, never give her reason to doubt. If I break this vow, may I lose everything, including the person I love most. And now? My gaze drifted to the audience, to Chloe nestled possessively against Julian's side. A cold, knowing smile touched my lips. When the officiant turned to me, I took the microphone. Instead of answering directly, I looked out at the assembled guests. Today is my wedding to Ethan. I began, my voice clear and steady. This wedding represents a great deal of my heart and soul. We've known each other for 10 years, understood each other deeply. I truly believed he was the person I would spend my life with. I just never imagined that time could truly change a person so profoundly. My eyes met Ethan's. Today, I have prepared a special gift for our wedding. I nodded subtly to Jessica, who stood to my lower right, ready. Ethan's smile was soft, adoring, as if he were about to profess his undying, fraudulent love once more. But the sound that suddenly erupted from the large screen behind us froze his smile in place. The screen lit up, playing the footage from my hidden cameras. Segment after segment showed Ethan and Chloe, entangled on the living room sofa in the bedroom there. Encounters raw and explicit. Chloe's hair always strategically covered her face, so the relatives and friends in the audience couldn't immediately identify the woman. Ethan's parents, assuming I'd made a terrible mistake, covered their eyes in embarrassment. Olivia dear, what on earth are you playing? Turn it off quickly, his mother hissed. While the audience remained confused, the two protagonists of the videos knew exactly who the woman was. Their faces had turned a ghastly white. Chloe pointed a trembling finger at the screen, her voice a hysterical shriek. Turn it off. Who's playing this? Waiter, turn it off. Don't look. Nobody look. Olivia. Ethan's lips trembled. He tried to speak, but it was too late. The next video clip showed their faces clearly. The date stamp read, last night. The location, our marital bedroom. Chloe, still provocatively dressed, was tugging at Ethan's tie, her eyes sultry. Ethan darling, she cooed in the video. Tomorrow you're getting married. And I'm planning to get engaged to Julian soon. Let's have one last wild night. Ethan in the video looked reluctant. He pulled her close by the waist. You said you weren't serious about him. Chloe pecked him on the lips. Don't be a spoilsport. We're just having fun. You're not going to break up with Olivia. And I'm not going to be your mistress forever. Julian is rich, handsome, and he adores me. Marrying him is my ticket to the good life. And for old time's sake, all those times we've slept together, I'll remember you when my company has projects. Ethan kissed her fiercely. All right. I'll listen to you. The subsequent scenes were predictable, sickeningly so. In our marital bedroom with our wedding portrait hanging on the wall, they engaged in acts that made my stomach roil. A shocked murmur rippled through the guests. Whispers, ugly and judgmental, filled the hall. Chloe was utterly dumbfounded. Her first instinct was to grab Julian, desperately trying to explain. Julian, it's not what it looks like. Olivia framed me. You have to believe me, I love you. That's not me in the video. I'm innocent. Julian shoved her away with such force that she stumbled and fell to the ground. He looked at her as if she were a piece of filth. Chloe, do you take me for a fool? Chloe shook her head, frantic tears streaming down her face. She didn't know what to do. Her eyes darted to Ethan. Ethan, say something. Tell them it's not me in the video. Ethan was too busy trying to save himself to care about her. He turned to me, his voice desperate. Olivia, listen to me, I can explain. I didn't let him finish. I slapped him hard across the face. One slap wasn't enough to vent my rage. I hit him again. Ethan, you owe me this. Then I turned to the stunned audience. Today's wedding is cancelled. Upon hearing this, Ethan's mother rushed onto the stage and slapped Ethan. Ethan, how could you do something like this? You've disappointed me. Beyond words. Then she whirled around and before I could react, slapped me hard across the face. Is this how you shame our family, Olivia? I clutched my stinging cheek, a humorless laugh escaping me. Today's spectacle was truly worth it. This family had no need for a shred of decency. Ethan stepped in front of me. Mom, I'm the one who did wrong. Why are you hitting Olivia? My parents rushed forward, pushing Ethan aside, shielding me. Your family has gone too far. Your son is the one who cheated. What right do you have to hit my daughter? I stepped out from behind my parents and walked directly towards Chloe, who was still on the floor. Olivia, you. Before she could finish, I grabbed her by the hair and delivered 2 sharp slaps to her face. Ah, Olivia, you dare hit me. Why wouldn't I dare? I'm hitting you, Chloe. I've tolerated you for far too long. If it weren't for today, I would have beaten you up ages ago. All the resentment, the pain, the fury I'd suppressed for weeks, finally erupted. My wedding dress made fighting awkward, so Jessica, ever loyal, jumped in to help. Chloe, outnumbered and overwhelmed, was quickly reduced to a sobbing, wailing mess on the floor. Ethan, save me. Julian, help me. Julian. Mom, Dad, help. This bitch Olivia is going to kill me. Ethan was surrounded by my parents, who were berating him fiercely. Julian stood to one side, watching Chloe's pummeling with a completely blank expression. Chloe's parents, finally jolted from their shock by her screams, rushed forward to intervene. Olivia Hayes, I'm calling the police. I'm going to sue you. Chloe shrieked, her face bruised and swollen, blood trickling from her nose. Julian let out a cold laugh. Chloe, you'd better just stay home and wait for my lawyer's papers. In the Thorne family living room, my parents and I sat on one sofa, Ethan and his mother on the opposite one. Ethan's father, utterly humiliated by the wedding fiasco, had left early. Ethan's mother spoke first, her voice dripping with accusation. Olivia, even if Ethan was at fault in this matter, you could have discussed it privately. Why did you have to cause such a scene at the wedding, humiliating our family like this? How do you expect Ethan to conduct business after this? So let me get this straight, my mother retorted, her voice shaking with anger. Your son cheats and you still think it's my daughter's fault? Mom, don't get upset. Please think of your health. I murmured, gently patting her arm, terrified her heart couldn't take the stress. Ethan's mother ignored my mother, her gaze fixed on me. Olivia, now that this scandal is public knowledge, do you think you look good? This was precisely why I'd chosen to expose them at the wedding, rather than confronting them privately and simply breaking off the engagement. Ethan's mother had never liked me. She'd even tried to make me sign a prenuptial agreement, which I, blinded by love for Ethan, had almost agreed to. Ethan had argued fiercely with her, and the agreement was never signed. Exposing them like this was in a way my revenge for years of her subtle disdain. I'm not the one whose affair was broadcast for the world to see, I replied calmly. The shame isn't mine to bear. A husband and wife are one entity, she snapped. The wedding didn't happen. We never registered our marriage. Where is this husband and wife you speak of? Surely you don't think, after I dropped such a massive bombshell, that I would still marry him? Ethan's head snapped up, his eyes wide with disbelief. Olivia, you want to break up with me? I pulled a document from my bag. Ethan, I paid for half of the house. Since we're not married, there's no joint property to divide. I just want my share back. If you agree, sign this. If not, I'll see you in court. I don't agree. Ethan snatched the contract and tore it to shreds. Olivia, I will never agree to a breakup. Smack. I slapped him again. Ethan, you know me. I can't tolerate a single grain of sand in my eye. Right now, even looking at you makes me sick. Leaving the Thorn residence, I took my parents back to the hotel. They were still worried about me, constantly trying to comfort me, afraid I wouldn't be able to handle the blow. When they saw that I wasn't heartbroken, but rather relieved, like a great weight had been lifted, they finally relaxed. I stayed with my parents at the hotel for 2 days before they returned to our hometown. Then I went back to the marital home to pack my things. To my surprise, Ethan was there. "Olivia," he said, his voice hoarse. "I didn't dare come find you. I've been waiting here for you. I knew you'd come back." It had only been 2 days, but the confident, always impeccably dressed man was gone. In his place was a disheveled figure with a scraggly beard, bloodshot eyes, and wrinkled clothes exuding an aura of utter dejection. I felt no pity for him. He hadn't shown me any consideration when he was gleefully playing me for a fool. As the saying goes, pitiable people often have hateful qualities. When I didn't speak, he followed me around as I packed, muttering to himself, "Olivia, these past 2 days I've just been replaying our past. We made it through 10 years. How did it come to this?" I turned and faced him. "Why has it come to this? You don't know? You need to ask me." He pulled me into his arms, holding me so tightly I could barely breathe. "Olivia, I miss you so much. I promise I'll never wrong you again. I've completely broken things off with Chloe. No one will ever come between us again. 10 years of love. You should give me another chance. You can't condemn me for this one mistake." I struggled, but he wouldn't let go. Finally, I stomped hard on his foot. He yelped in pain and loosened his grip. "Ethan, now you remember our 10 years of love? When you and Chloe were sneaking around behind my back every night. Did you think about our 10 years then?" "Olivia." Tears welled in Ethan's eyes. A cold laugh suddenly echoed from the doorway, interrupting Ethan. Chloe stood there, her face a mask of malice. "Dearest cousin," she sneered. "I was just testing his loyalty to you. I never expected him to fall so quickly. But then again, Ethan has always preferred my type. He told me he was happiest when he was with me." Ethan's face paled. He whirled on her, his voice furious. "Shut up, Chloe. It's not like that at all. I only love Olivia." "Then why did you always sneak off to see me behind my cousin's back?" Chloe taunted. "Shut up." I ignored their pathetic melodrama and quickened my pace, packing my remaining belongings. Chloe continued her tirade. "Olivia, why have you always been better than me? Better university, better job, even your boyfriend was handsome and rich. I was jealous. I wanted everything you had." Her voice rose to a screech. "I was so close to succeeding. I was about to marry into a wealthy family. Why did you have to ruin everything? I even gave you your man back. Why did you have to destroy my engagement with Julian?" I merely looked at her, my voice like ice. "If you don't want people to know, don't do it in the first place." As I walked out with my suitcase, Ethan tried to stop me, but Chloe clung to his arm, refusing to let him go. The two who had once conspired in secret were now at each other's throats, their angry shouts echoing behind me. The TV station was incredibly busy for the next few days. I had no time to look for an apartment, so I temporarily stayed with Jessica. Ethan's calls and messages were relentless. Even when I blocked his number, he'd use different ones. I couldn't change my number because too many work contacts and sources had it. It would disrupt my job. When I didn't answer his calls, he found Jessica's address and started waiting for me downstairs every day. Thankfully, Jessica was home a few times and managed to send him away with a barrage of scathing words. After a week of relative peace, Chloe unexpectedly asked to meet me. It was from her that I learned Ethan's company had been severely impacted by the wedding scandal. Several major clients had pulled out of deals. He was already struggling with payroll and bank loans when, to make matters worse, an employee suffered a fatal heart attack on the job. After paying compensation to the family, the company declared bankruptcy. "You asked me here just to tell me this?" I asked, unimpressed. Chloe tossed her hair, flashing a new, expensive-looking necklace. "Did you think I'd have no options just because Julian dumped me? I met plenty of influential people while I was with him. If he doesn't want me, someone else will." "Oh well, congratulations then," I said dryly. Chloe's obsession with surpassing me was apparently too strong to ignore my lack of interest. "He's a real estate tycoon," she blurted out. "He says he likes me and is willing to spend any amount of money on me." I had no patience for her desperate boasting. I stood up, looking down at her. "Chloe, You will likely never surpass me in this lifetime. Because everything I have, I earned myself. You only know how to rely on men. That won't get you very far. As I turned to leave, I added, remember to ask him when he plans to marry you. Being kept on the side rarely lasts long. Ethan now waited for me outside my office building every day. Dark circles ringed his eyes, and he'd lost a significant amount of weight. He blocked my path. Olivia, I know I sold the house. As soon as the money comes through, I'll transfer your share to you. Good, I said, trying to sidestep him. Olivia, he called out, his voice raw. Can you really not forgive me? I was just scared back then. Scared of facing a lifetime with one person, committed to one person. I was afraid of monotony, of boredom. But I do love you. Olivia, I love you so much. I'm paying for it now. I've lost everything. Am I really going to lose you, the person I love most? I looked at him, my gaze surprisingly calm. Stop with the self-pity, Ethan. The moment you decided to seek thrills elsewhere, we were over. No, that's not it. Olivia, listen to me, I love you. I just lost control at that moment. You're the only one in my heart. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Stop making excuses, I said, my voice firm but weary. We're like a shattered mirror now. No matter how you try to repair it, there will always be an irreparable crack, and insurmountable chasm between us. We can't go back. Besides, this wasn't a one-time lapse in judgment. The desire was already in your heart. You were just waiting for the right opportunity, the right person. Ethan's face turned deathly pale. He opened his mouth several times, but no sound came out. Finally, he broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. I walked away. Even from a distance, I heard his choked cry. Olivia, I'm sorry. The TV station announced a 6-month overseas study program to train outstanding journalists. I signed up immediately. Learning is a lifelong journey. To become a better version of myself, I knew I had to keep moving forward, constantly striving to surpass who I was today. As I boarded the plane, I received a notification on my phone. A bank transfer. It was Ethan's payment. The plane took off, and with it, I embarked on a new chapter of my life. The end.